Coming up on Tech News Today, is RIM a liar? And if so, does it even matter? SOPA boycotts get complicated, and Mozilla's making it rain with Google bucks. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, December 22nd, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring available voice-activated Sync. Sync gives you versatile access to music, podcasts, and more from just about any device. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show we kick around the tech news, try to make some sense of it all. Joining us today from ParisLemon.com, Mr. MG Siegler.
How's it going, guys?
Good to have you back
Fantastic.
on the show, MG.
Yeah.
You're still writing for TechCrunch, though, right?
Yeah, I do a column for TechCrunch once or twice or 3 times a week. Depends on how much
How
is
you
going
feel.
on.
Yeah. Nice. But yeah, good stuff at your own site as well. Check it out.
A lot of swearing.
It's loud. If you like swearing or not, it's still good to read.
Just being blunt. It's okay.
I was told to be careful about my swearing.
Who told you?
Well,
oh, Sarah, yeah.
I didn't, let the record stay. I didn't say, you can't swear today. MG said, can I swear? And I said, well, for instance. And he told me what he wanted to say.
Blue streak.
For example, no, you can't.
And he said, and I said, please don't say that on TNT. Someone will be mad.
All right, let's start off with, we are going to get to the SOPA story. A lot of people in the chat room are very excited about that. But BlackBerry 10 delay is apparently because RIM doesn't know what they're doing, according to an anonymous source talking to Boy Genius Report. Now, normally anonymous sources like this you're a little skeptical of. Boy Genius Report does have a pretty good track record with RIM sources. And the quote is, RIM is simply pushing this out as long as they can for one reason: they don't have a working product yet. Co-CEO Mike Lazaridis had said on their earnings call that the chip they needed for BlackBerry 10 wouldn't come out until mid-year. It's a dual-core chip that supports LTE. But the source says email and PIM is better on an 8700 than it is on BlackBerry 10, and said the company can't get the OS to work with the network infrastructure.
Well, okay, so... The headline I read was RIM lies. They're lying.
I think that's the CNET headline.
Right. But okay, so if Mike Lazaridis is saying, listen, for this to work properly, we need a chip. It's not coming out until next year, so we're not going to have a product until after that. I don't really see why the fact that nothing's working correctly now is a lie. I mean, they're spinning it to make it seem like, listen, we're just waiting on a chip and it has nothing to do with us. But I don't really see why they're lying. They're just not ready. They're not ready.
That's true. Both could be true. RIM says that the post is inaccurate and uninformed, and any speculation that it's anything except for the chip is simply false. That could be lying.
That sounds like lying.
I guess the stance that they're trying to take is that because this chip isn't ready, this chip is going to be better for consumers because it'll save power. And you don't want us releasing something. You've seen all the news about these 4G chips that can drain power and create awful products. So they're trying to say that it's because of that and they're doing it for the consumers. And really, if it's just that they can't figure out how to do an email client or whatever it is that they ridiculously can't do, that looks pretty bad for them. And given all the bad press that they've had, they're trying to spin it in a way that it's for the consumers that they're doing this.
Considering there are all these phones that actually run on LTE chips already, there's a bunch of Motorola ones and everything. And granted, the battery life is not exactly stellar. We're talking about maybe 2 hours using full-on LTE data. Doesn't RIM have the obligation to move much faster? I mean, I'm figuring, okay, look, if it's not software, they can't figure out, because that's when they pushed out the playbook, it didn't have email ready or
still doesn't.
I think the
even
beta,
BlackBerry 2.
They still don't have that in there, which is one of the big knocks on the playbook. And they're saying that we're not going to release this until it's ready. I mean, they should be working on it. It just seems like the software issue is real, because this chip argument, I think, is nonsense. I mean, I could see Apple doing this because, like, you know, they have a history of that kind of thing. But RIM needs to act as soon as possible to get themselves back in the market before they just end up dead.
I think that's why everyone tends to believe the rumor here, because BlackBerry 10, if I'm not mistaken, is based on the same OS that is on
QNX.
the playbook, the QNX-based operating system, which still doesn't have email and PIM support. And you wonder if you can't put it in the playbook
2.0 update.
Yeah.
Still no email
Still
support?
no email support.
It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do, right? I mean,
It's obviously very
no
hard.
one's nailed email yet.
This is a brand new technology.
Yeah.
They can just like using like an Android player version of some kind of email client that already exists and just slap a label.
Well, what do you
on
care?
it.
You don't use email anymore.
That's true. I hate email. I actually love
Playbook's
BlackBerry
perfect
because
for
they hate email. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, by the way,
exactly.
I want to get something on the record myself. I want RIM to succeed, by the way. I don't want them to fail. I like when companies are making new stuff. I tried a QNX. I tried the Playbook. It's pretty cool. But there's nothing for it. That's the problem with I really want more competition
I've
out
got
there.
some stock to sell you. I think you'll be the only one buying it right now.
Well, I can get it at a huge discount. I mean, they're not going anywhere. Actually, the only time their stock goes up is when the rumor is somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, RIM is a little defensive in their response to this, but they do say that it's absolutely nothing else except the chip. So
The big problem is, no matter what the reason is, we're not seeing anything until
for
late
a
next
year.
year.
yeah, exactly.
That's
Sort of
really,
doesn't
really bad.
It doesn't matter whether they're lying or not.
You lie all you want. As long as we don't see anything, you're not going anywhere.
They better have a very deep, hidden, secret project that they've been working on, and they're going to wow everyone with, and towards October of
If it
next
isn't
year.
flying cars, they have their work cut out for them.
Flying cars, but we haven't worked out wheels yet.
That's hard.
we don't know how to land.
The House Judiciary Committee has released a list of 142 companies that support the Stop Online Piracy Act, a.k.a. SOPA. GoDaddy is on the list. They appear to be the only domain registrar and, depending on how you look at it, the only internet company on the list. In an op-ed published in Politico shortly after SOPA was introduced, GoDaddy came out in strong defense of SOPA. They have republished that article on their own website, and now internet users at Reddit, according to Ars Technica, have organized a boycott of the registrar. Redditor Self Prodigy this morning proposed that December 29th be declared Move Your Domain Day, with GoDaddy customers switching to competing registrars. And that's not all. Y Combinator founder and investor Paul Graham, replying to a thread on Hacker News, said that several of the companies listed on as supporters of SOPA send people to Demo Day. And he says, when I saw the list, I thought we should stop inviting them. So, yes, we'll remove anyone from those companies from the Demo Day invite list. And then he further told Alexia at TechCrunch, if these companies are so clueless about technology that they think SOPA is a good idea, how could they be good investors? And before we get reactions, it doesn't stop there. Cheeseburger CEO Ben Huh on Twitter announcing that they will move all 1,000 of their domain names away from GoDaddy unless the registrar changes their support of the act. He says, we love you guys, but SOPA is a cancer to the free web.
Go Ben.
Go Ben, go Paul, go
Everybody.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
Prodigy.
Look at this list. All right, there's Marvel Comics represented by my T-shirt today, and there's music industry groups like UMG and represented by made by Blink 182 over there. I don't know what label they're on.
I don't even know who gave me this shirt.
It makes sense. I understand why those
So your
companies.
shirt,
did.
your shirt supports SOPA because you're wearing
Not my shirt.
Marvel.
The character does.
Your shirt supports SOPA. Is Iceland? What's Iceland's position? I think you're safe.
I
Well,
think
then-
Iceland is anti-SOPA.
But considering these are content companies that don't want their stuff pirated, obviously that's pretty simple. If there's a simple point of view on that, what is GoDaddy's interest in SOPA being passed? That's my question
intriguing,
there. Because
isn't it?
even when the Business Software Alliance kind of said, yeah, we kind of like it. No, we don't. It made a little sense because Microsoft, they have software. They don't want
piracy,
that. They don't want that stolen. It made sense there. But GoDaddy's position is confusing to me because I don't know what product they have that would be, I guess, affected by SOPA other than like I guess their sites would be taken down.
And their posting is as high pitched in support of SOPA as many of the anti-SOPA posts have been, saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. All it does is keep America safe for jobs and punish criminals and burglars, and it won't have any negative effects. People are ridiculous for opposing it. And this is a domain registrar, which is one of the most popular in the world, and a key to operating the domain name system. What are they seeing that no other domain registrar is seeing? Why
they just benefit by people having to keep registering domains over and over again that get taken down? Is
pretty
that
much
it?
every engineer that is involved deeply in the operation of the internet opposes SOPA. Is GoDaddy promised some more business under this somehow? Is there some benefit they get? I don't understand.
If there was a possibility that GoDaddy was very backwardly thinking, the more your domains that get taken down, the better chance we have for people signing up new domains with
Domain
us.
names?
Or you know how it doesn't
that
apply.
is so
Yeah,
sad.
maybe.
SOPA
but
doesn't
it's
apply
possible.
SOPA does not apply to certain foreign domain TLD. So like I think .tv and other stuff is actually no, it does apply to those.
It doesn't
so
apply
the
to
.com names,
.com.org.
.com.org. Excuse me. Thanks.
Well, because current ICE activities can affect those.
So do you think
SOPA and Protect IP are actually trying to close the loophole of saying, well, if you're .tv like TWiT, we can't go after you because you got a different domain name.
So then maybe they're going to sell .com names that are premium.
But those
it just seems
are
silly.
already under attack.
Yeah, I'm really at a loss why they'd be.
GoDaddy is also, I mean, you see them advertising a lot of online shows. People who are in the same space as a show like Tech News Today, for example. I am very surprised that they would come out so publicly and so strongly on a side that's just doesn't jive with their space.
Somebody said call GoDaddy and ask in the chat room. We know what they say. The reason that they support it is they have a very long post, and they're not going to say anything different than that if you call them or email them. I'm trying to get to the bottom of why they have that position, and I don't think they're going to say anything different. MJ, you got any ideas on this?
I mean, I don't know. I'm reading over. I'd skimmed their posts the last time I saw it. They put it up, of course, on their website, and it's like they're talking about the balance, and it's myopic to say for the other companies to say that you can't achieve balance without protecting some of these fundamental cores. They're using a lot of buzzwords here, but I don't know. I can't imagine that this is going to be. They're going to look back at this as a smart thing that they do. You get Ben Hud doing the 1,000 domains is going to be a big blow if they actually do that, and there's going to be several dozens of other people probably today who agree to the same kind of thing. I mean, I know I have all my domains on GoDaddy. I think a lot of people do around just within the internet sphere because they are the #1 domain registrar. And if everyone starts pulling those because of what they're doing here, I mean, I think eventually they're gonna see some major backlash unless they come out with a better excuse than what this letter is, which is just kind of
striking balance is good
right
for America.
And you're an idiot if you don't support SOPA. It's kind of their position in this letter, which isn't going to moderate the folks at Reddit who are up in arms and saying, forget it, I'm off GoDaddy, I'm transferring now.
Yeah.
Well, it's the sort of thing that makes conspiracy theorists feel very strangely about ties that GoDaddy might have with the government. I'm not going to speculate on that now, but it doesn't look good.
And then before we move off of this, Paul Graham saying he's not going to invite any supporters to Y Combinator's demo day.
Yeah, that's great.
Matt Rossoff points out Comcast, NBC Universal's Comcast Ventures has a stake in Y Combinator company Carwoo, and listed companies like CBS, Disney, GoDaddy, News Corp, Sony, Time Warner, and Visa have all made tech investments in the past.
Right. Well, I think the thing is this list is so encompassing of like huge companies that have stakes in various different things that people don't even realize it. I'm sure Paul Graham didn't even realize that probably when he was like saying this, that someone at a higher 2 levels above whoever it is that invested in Y Combinator is supporting SOPA. So it's pretty incredible the reach that this list has of companies that are supporting this.
Yeah, I did a Google Plus post right before the show. I went through the list of 142 supporters, and I said, okay, if you want to be pure, not support anyone who's supporting SOPA, you can't watch TV, listen to music, see a play, support tax reform, read books, go into buildings, sing church music, fight fires, use the Better Business Bureau, use state government services, wear makeup, register a domain name with GoDaddy, buy anything delivered in a truck, use electricity, watch baseball, NFL football, UFC, or tennis, read Marvel comics, use a credit card, buy manufactured goods, enter a city, buy prescription and over-the-counter drugs, or wear jewelry from Tiffany.
Well, all of that I can get rid of, except the makeup.
Except for the entering cities.
So, yeah.
I mean,
Fighting fires is important.
I'm stretching that a little bit.
Than do that.
The National League of Cities and the National Mayor's Council support SOPA, so you could maybe enter a city and still not be supporting those organizations. And it's the Congressional Fire Services Institute, which is more about wildland fires, I think.
The point is, we're all affected.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you are, you are.
Incredibly broad range of people supporting SOPA. But very few, if any of them, tech companies. I mean, there's the Comcasts that are sort of playing it in both spaces, or CBS, which operates CBS Interactive. But GoDaddy, kind of the only one on there that is pure internet. Everybody else in the tech industry seems to be at least neutral, if not against it. Let's move on to Google. We talked about yesterday the fact that they've renewed their deal with Mozilla. Some more numbers came out since then. All Things D reports that the payoff will amount to $300 million per year. That's close to $1 billion for all 3 years, if you can multiply 300 by 3. That's the minimum revenue guarantee for delivering search queries garnered for consumers. And remember, Google contributed approximately 84% of Mozilla's $123 million in revenue last year. So this would triple their revenue.
Yeah, this is pretty massive news, actually, I think. I mean, there was the report a couple weeks ago, right, that Google might not renew this deal with Mozilla, and that's big trouble if that didn't happen, because it is 84% of their revenues, and they could, at the very least, they would have to cut significant amount of their staff, and, you know, who knows what happens to Firefox, and that's the case. As it turns out, it looks like they were just negotiating behind the scenes, and Microsoft was involved, and Yahoo was involved, and Google ended up winning. And if it's true that they pushed it from about 120 million or whatever, 84% of 120 million, so it was about 100 million before, and now it's all the way up to 300 million. That's a huge jump for a browser, for Firefox specifically, as a browser that's actually losing market share right now. So Google is paying 3 times as much money to stay in the good graces of a browser that they're slowly eating away at.
Right, because Chrome is taking market share from Firefox and Internet Explorer. Probably more from Internet Explorer, but a little from Firefox for sure.
Like, I didn't think of it that way. They're paying somebody to kind of exist while they are eating their own market share. Yeah, they are doing that. I mean, the thing about Firefox, though, unlike Google Chrome, Google gives you that option to pick your browser. At least when they work with Firefox, if Firefox has all this money coming in, or Mozilla does anyway, maybe Firefox will. I mean, they're obviously not trying. They're not like just sitting around floundering. They're really trying to be faster. They're trying to do tab management better. They've integrated a lot of things that people have put in via extension. So Firefox is actually still trying to improve. It doesn't seem like it's been left by the wayside by Mozilla by any means. So whether Mozilla can get more market share with Firefox with this kind of cash infusion, I think that might actually help it out in the long run.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, this is an incredible maneuver if they were able to 3x their revenue. But, you know, and it shows how much Google dislikes Microsoft, I guess, because if Bing would have gotten this would have been a significant uptake probably for Bing itself, and Microsoft has poured hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars now into Bing without really any huge results. There's, you know, they have, when combined with Yahoo, they have what, you know,
around a third
33% or 30% of the market, and you know this would get them at least a few more percent, I think, if they had the Firefox deal. And you'd think that they want to throw as much money as possible, given how much they've thrown at Bing, but you know, Google apparently just had to come way over the top and put as much money as possible as they could.
Yeah, Google could just look around and say, do we have any cash left over after Motorola?
Right.
Throw that, give that to Mozilla. That's fine. Also, Mozilla CEO David Asher stated yesterday publicly that Mozilla is about more than just Firefox, and talked about 3 projects in particular. Boot to Gecko, a root-level approach that could result in sort of a Firefox OS. We see the beginnings of this on LapDoc, where there's a Firefox browser that you use sort of as a laptop interface. Browser ID, a project that aims to provide a safer alternative to Facebook Connect for logging in across platforms. And a Mozilla-powered apps initiative, which wants to make web technologies the best way to create apps so they work on all devices, rather than having these siloed app stores that we have right now. I have to say, I like all 3 of these projects. What do we think the chances of them actually catching on are?
They'll catch on as fast as Songbird did. I think that was another Mozilla thing. Browser ID won't take off, just like OpenID, OpenID is really cool, but like try to explain to somebody how to set it up. Like, oh, you find this URL that you have. It's if they can come up with a way to do it, I don't think they're going to do it.
Well,
the app's not going to happen.
Asher has also admitted in the CNET article I read about this, he doesn't even really fully understand Boot to Gecko yet, and that others at Mozilla feel that way about Browser ID. So. They should really get on the same page before they want us all to get on their
research
page.
Before you write the blog post. I mean, hey, what are we doing over there?
Boot to Gecko, I don't get it, but we're about more than just Firefox.
The other thing is, you know, a couple weeks ago when the news first came out, I said something about, you know, this is obviously really bad news for Mozilla, and that sucks because, you know, Mozilla was great back in the day, you know, 10 years ago when Internet Explorer was dominating everything, and they just came out of nowhere and really disrupted the game. And, you know, you think maybe some of these things can come in there and do this. But the one thing that they should be focusing on more is mobile. And I said that, and a bunch of their employees actually came back at me and said, well, we are focusing on mobile. You know, we're trying to do things with, like, Boot to Gecko. And that could possibly be a mobile operating system. And that's, you know, I suppose that's true, but they're in a tough position now because, you know, of course, Google and Apple and then Microsoft to a lesser extent and Nokia and stuff own the mobile space right now. And Mozilla's trying to do some stuff. They launched a new version of Firefox, right, that works on Android tablets, and they're trying to make some inroads there. But they're not going to have an easy time doing that if they don't own the actual ecosystem itself, and they're in a bad position here. It's good that they got this Google deal done now. They're going to have plenty of money to survive for certainly the next 3 years and likely well beyond that. But they really need to think about their mobile strategy, and I can't see anything. And these three things, while they sound great, they're probably not going to be, that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing the right things. If these are three of their priorities, they're good priorities. They should work on them. But you need leverage to get uptake. And I'm not sure what Mozilla's leverage is to get these platforms out. Obviously, they've got some amount of leverage in search.
Yeah.
Because they were able to get that $300 million deal. I don't know if that translates to these other enterprises or not. Give the CEO a break, Sarah. I mean, he's busy. He's got a lot of stuff. He can't
Christmas shopping. He's not.
Listen, yeah, I don't understand it either, Mr. Asher. But you should. But at least before me.
Let's take a quick break. This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by Ford, featuring available Sync. We recently took Sync for a test drive. Check it out. Hey, Tom Merritt here with the 2012 Ford Focus to take a look at the entertainment options of Sync. Sync has a versatile media hub that works conveniently with a bunch of different devices for your music and entertainment. Now, there's so many different ways to hook up so many different kinds of devices in here. You've got two USB ports, so you can hook up two different devices. There's an RCA jack here, video jack as well, SD card slot. I've got my phone hooked up by wireless, so I don't have to plug it into anything. Still take advantage of all my entertainment options while I'm driving. So now we're on our way. I've got my device connected by Bluetooth, and I can choose my playlists, my songs, just genres if I want, while keeping my eyes on the road and my hands on the wheel. Bluetooth stereo.
Bluetooth stereo.
Play rock. There's also a cool HD radio feature. If you hear a song you like on HD radio, you can tell Sync to tag it, saves it the information to your iPod, and then you can buy it on iTunes later. So that's how the versatility of Sync lets you listen to the entertainment you want in your car while you keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. Available in the 2012 Ford Focus, and you can find more about Ford technologies at ford.com/technology. And we thank Ford for their support of Tech News Today. A few more stories to discuss before we get to the news fuse. AMD announces their next generation Radeon. The HD 7970 will be available January 9th. For $549, it's the first 28-nanometer process GPU, 925 megahertz clock, can be overclocked to 1.1 gigahertz, 2048 stream processors, a muscular 384-bit memory bus, and 3 gigabytes of GDDR5. Power draw is impressive, less than 300 watts, and when your PC is in sleep mode, it draws almost no power, only 3 watts. So, this is a big deal for AMD particularly, and it seems like the reviews out there are very positive.
You read a lot of specs there, and they all sound great. I guess what really matters is, are they soundly beating their rivals, right? I mean, at this point, if everybody's somewhat of the same price area.
You want it to have a performance that beats out NVIDIA, and you want it to not, as Gadget puts it, blow the house up like a dual GPU product. And it does both of those things. According to Anantech, Hot Hardware, Hexus, Hard OCP, those guys tested it. Some said it ran a little loud. Some people said it ran quiet. But all of them agreed the performance was fairly decent, and definitely that the power usage was low.
Well, I guess at somewhere like CES, they'd probably have a nice display that would show off exactly how these chips work to their fullest advantage to impress everybody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just reading reviews.
It is expensive, $549 So if you want to keep up with the latest, though, that's the one to get for now. Playdum's Gardens of Time. We all play it, right? It is the most popular game on Facebook in 2011.
I'm playing it right now.
It says who?
Facebook says that.
Beating any Zynga game.
Actually, The Sims Social is number 2, and Cityville from Zynga is number 3. This is what's got people
Farmville was the
topping.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the list was compiled by looking at the top games on Facebook with more than 100,000 monthly active users and then giving priority to those games with the highest user satisfaction scores. So the results should be a list of games that received the most user recommendations in 2011. So Facebook has defined popularity
Right.
in their own way.
This is pretty ridiculous. I was actually at TechCrunch office yesterday when we were looking over, some of the writers at TechCrunch were looking over this. One guy in particular, Josh Constein, he wrote a great post in response to this because Facebook blasted out this release saying what they picked as the things. It makes it sure sound like that, this one game, this Playdom game, it has beaten Zynga's games, fair and square. But it's so ridiculous the way that they're measuring this. And if you actually look at the numbers, something like Cityville is by far much bigger than the Gardens of Time or whatever this thing is called.
AppData, an independent firm,
Right.
says that by their numbers, Cityville, Castleville, Farmville, and Texas Hold'em, all Zynga games, are the 4 most played games on Facebook. They put Gardens of Time as the 14th most played title.
Right.
Well, so why would Facebook want to? Is it because they don't want anyone to think, well, if you're not working for Zynga, then you're never going to have a successful game on Facebook, so don't even bother trying? They want to seem like
I think it's
a
more than
platform
that.
for
I
all
think
game
that
developers.
this is a company getting ready to IPO, and they don't want to make it seem like that their entire platform, which is a key component of their business, is dominated by one other company that also just happened to IPO. It's like these two things are, planets rotating around one another, and if one of them, there's no one else who can enter that ecosystem. So
And
I think
that doesn't have to be as conspiratorial as it sounds. It may be them looking at their numbers going, wow, it's all Zynga, but that doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
Let's come up with a metric that shows that there are rising tides lifting other boats and be able to, tell a better story than that.
Yeah, but
however,
I know
it's spun
Facebook,
so
the way
far.
that they could have framed this a lot better. They could have been much more straightforward. After Josh wrote his post and talked to Facebook about it before he did it, he was like, well, I'm going to publish this. And they're like, yeah, okay, I think that's fair. And so he published it. Then they came back with their little update kind of explaining more clearly how they came up with these.
The first
clarifying how they
PR
actually
blast
came up
didn't
with these
actually
things. Right.
explain
They wanted to
what
make it
popular
seem like
was.
this was the most popular game of the year when it wasn't.
All right, last story before News Fuse. A study done by Zylogic shows that of the top 25 app publishers for iOS, only one does not produce games, whereas with Android, of the top 25 app publishers, half are game publishers. The other half publish other kinds of apps. With iOS, of the top 25, the only one who doesn't publish games is Bourbon, and they make Instagram, which is only on iOS.
Right.
So iOS is for games, Android is for productivity?
Yeah, this headline is ridiculous because, yes, the study can be construed to say that, I guess, if you just take it, everything as it is, if you look at the data right there. But of course, games are on iPhone. They're at the top of the list because no one is playing the games on Android. Like none of these games are very good, or some of them aren't available on Android right now. So of course there's going to be no games that dominate their top list. If there were no games on iPhone, I'm sure that you could have a headline that says apps are for Android and apps are for iPhone.
Jason, you're a heavy Android user. You do all about Android. Does that sound fair to you? Not enough games available that are good on Android?
I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, it's taken a long time for the Android platform to get decent games, and we're starting to get more and more higher quality games. A lot of those actually happen to be straight iOS to Android ports for the most part. But, iOS and the iPhone in general for quite a while now has been kind of promoted by Apple themselves as a gaming system.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, of course, it's going to end up pulling in people who, find that as a very important element to them. So that could have something to do with it, too.
And they're also, I think a lot of the iOS developers are figuring out, especially in the past year or so, that there's one of the key ways to make money on the iOS platform is to make these free games with the in-app purchases that have, the viral elements of it, much like Zynga. Though Zynga isn't doing that well on iOS. I think they do fine, but they're not doing the same that they are on the Facebook platform. But a lot of these other developers,
They're only third most popular on the Facebook.
right. They're going down in flames. But I think a lot of other game developers are realizing, and developers in general are realizing, that the way to make money, at least right now, is to make these games with these in-app purchases. And there's just so many people who get addicted to them, and they're making thousands of dollars, $100,000, maybe even millions of dollars. And so that's why these games are dominating the top, because they're free games. and then they're paid within the app itself.
I'm kind of curious about how much of the immaturity of Android actually caused this in general, because for a while the app market that was very difficult to navigate. They didn't have games broken out the way they do now. It's the big tile now. It's a lot easier to find things now.
Yes.
When it came to the different form factors, I don't know why gamers or game developers would want to target a 3.2-inch device, a 3.5-inch device. There could be a 4-inch Note, a 5-inch one. There are all kinds of ridiculous form factors that might not, on these devices might not even have the same capabilities as each other. So you don't even know what exactly you're coding for versus, okay, this iOS device has a gyroscope, has an accelerometer, has this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
Versus all
there's
these other
that,
phones.
which is a huge component of it. You know, it's hard to develop across all these different devices. And also, you know, only recently has Android had the ability to do in-app payments and do it in a in a feasible way. So a lot of a lot of game developers weren't taking it seriously because they couldn't make money this way. And that's the way they make money.
It's borne out in a Distimo report that's Wired's reporting on today, saying that the iOS App Store brings in 6 times the amount of revenue as Android. They compared the top 200 highest grossing apps in both stores, and it's because of that. It's because there's a freemium model that you can take advantage of in iOS that is much more popular and used than in Android. I mean, Android has plenty of downloads. It's just, you know, or either that or it's a bunch of rich elites. The 1% use iOS. That's probably it. Actually.
Or maybe a less
Mercedes driving sons of guns.
Sons of guns.
I can't say the other
How
word.
old are you?
There was a warning that we heard of, right? So.
All right, let's move on to the news views. Sony's announced 25 titles that will be available when the PS Vita launches in the U.S. on February 22nd. You'll be able to get Uncharted Golden Abyss, EA FIFA Soccer, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, among other titles. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I should say. Other games like Lego, Harry Potter, Years 5 to 7, and MLB 12 The Show will be available in what Sony calls the launch window. Titles will range from $10 to $50. Memory cards will be $20 for 4 gigabytes and $100 for 32 gigabytes.
17 House representatives sent a letter to ICANN asking it to delay introducing generic top-level domains. ICANN is scheduled to accept applications for GTLDs on January 12th, 2012. The reps say that they're concerned that there's a significant uncertainty in the process, but did not specify how long a delay they're asking for.
They're uncertain about that.
They're tired. Remember? They've had a long year.
Yeah.
A German court said the redesigned version of the Tab 10.1 is different enough from Apple's legally protected design of the iPad, so the Galaxy Tab 10.1N will be available for sale in Germany. The Tab 10.1N features a slightly larger silver bezel on 2 sides compared to the original 10.1. The new look was designed, obviously, to avoid running into issues with Apple.
Thank goodness we have patent laws to protect us from thin bezels. Details over Microsoft exiting CES as of 2013 are surfacing. Get it, Microsoft Surface?
That was interesting what you did there.
GigaOM reported that the CEA asked Microsoft to hit the bricks, but then The Verge said no, Microsoft just didn't renew its deal with the CEA. Apparently, Microsoft and CEA normally have 3-year deals, but Microsoft extended their deal for 1 year up to 2012, and the breakup was amicable. Mary Jo was talking about this on Windows Weekly and said basically Microsoft was thinking about leaving. CEA said we're raising the price. Microsoft said nah, no thanks.
And everybody's happy about it, though.
Real happy. Yeah.
Amicable. They're friends. Video sharing site
They'll have
Vio
lunch.
just won a legal battle with the Universal Music Group in a case that started way back in September 2007. UMG sued over copyright infringement, but the court ruled that Vio fell within the safe harbor provision of the DMCA. This should be little consolation to Vio, though, because the company filed for bankruptcy in 2010 and sold its domain to another company.
So
I wonder if they use GoDaddy.
So they were right, and they got put out of business. That's real nice. An EFF volunteer put together a program to read a Carrier IQ profile that demonstrates that the profile doesn't need to be decrypted before converting it to a readable XML file. Carrier IQ profiles contain instructions about what data to collect. So while Carrier IQ has been quite forthcoming about how its software works, this kind of software will likely fill in any gaps.
The FCC approved the first device to operate in the white space between TV channels. The approval is limited to Wilmington, North Carolina. It's a test that you got to start small. White space devices have the ability to perform well indoors and work over a long range. FCC Chairman Julius Janikowski said the move is an important step towards enabling the new wave of wireless innovation.
Go Wilmington. Tell us how it works. Motorola Mobility just purchased itself SetJam, a company that works on video recommendation technology and curates video content from places like Netflix and Hulu. Google's still in the process of closing its purchase of Motorola Mobility, so maybe one day you'll see the tech in a new Google TV or a Motorola set-top box.
That could be one device. This week, a video circulated around the web showing a FedEx delivery guy throwing a monitor over a fence. You might have
we
seen
talked
it.
about it on Randomizer.
FedEx,
Fake, old.
I thought it was fake, but FedEx has issued a statement saying that, quote, the situation has now been resolved to the customer's satisfaction, and we are handling the employee according to our disciplinary policies. That was not in the quote. That was a separate thing. And called the delivery man's behavior an aberration. And they then said how great FedEx is.
So in other words, yeah, it was actual
That's
FedEx.
what they're saying. They're acting as if it was FedEx.
All right, let's move on to the Randomizer.
Randomizer.
It's happened. The Large Hadron Collider has found the new particle that they were looking for called Chi B3P. No, they haven't found the Higgs, but Dr. Kiki is here to explain what it
Is
was.
Dr. Kiki choking?
They did
She's got a
find.
hairball.
I was choking on that lead-in that Tom was giving.
My incredibly misleading introduction to the story.
Incredibly misleading. Yeah, it's not the Higgs, everybody.
No, it's not the Higgs.
Oh.
Higgs.
What did they find? What is Chi B3P?
Chi B3P is not C3PO's long-lost cousin.
But it is not a droid, right?
It is not the droid you
Okay.
were looking for. Exactly. But it's a particle.
It's not the particle we were looking for either.
Well, actually, it is a particle that we're looking for. It's one of many particles that have been hypothesized to exist given the standard model of physics. And it is a type of boson, so it is related to the Higgs in that category. Additionally, it's made up of quarks. So it's
a quark and an anti-quark bound together.
Yeah,
How does
and I
that
love
happen?
A beauty quark. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Cindy, what's her name, that model?
Crawford.
Cindy Crawford's
She's a
beauty
beauty quark. Well, quarks have the weird, like, strange charm, all of that, right?
They have their strange charm, up, down, top, bottom. Beauty quark is a bottom quark. Quarks are the subatomic particles that make up protons, neutrons, the stuff that makes up the nucleus.
So this is an important particle. It's just not the popular particle.
Right.
It's not the Cindy Crawford of particles.
Right. It's not the Cindy Crawford of particles, but it's very important. It's a part of the model. It's one of the missing pieces. We found one of the pieces that we thought would be there. It's going to tell us a lot about one of the important forces in the universe, the strong nuclear force, which is the force that binds together protons, neutrons, that binds quarks together. And it'll give us a lot of information about how that actually works, why matter sticks to itself.
Yeah, that's all good, important stuff. It may not be the God particle, as they say, but it's a good particle. Don't sell this
This
particle
particle
short.
needs some PR.
The good particle. Just call it that. The good particle.
All right. Thanks, Kiki.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the calendar.
Star Wars The Old Republic has launched in Europe. May the Force be with you. I know.
The force that binds
I just
quarks,
had to say
or-
that.
Had to do it.
Never mind.
No, that's different.
Yeah.
Well, you're very excited.
Yeah, I'm playing a smuggler and a bounty hunter.
So
It's fun. It's a fun game.
you heard it here. Any Europeans who want to be like Tom, you too can be a bounty hunter or a smuggler or both. Razer's Blade gaming laptop has been delayed. This is kind of bad news. A last-minute SSD swap has the company short on parts. New date is mid to late January, at least for North American customers. But you will get a free custom-designed green and black Razer Orochi gaming mouse, because they're trying to make up for the delay. Although they also have delayed their Tiamat 7.1 surround headset, also due in late January. But because that's also late, you're going to get a Razer branded T-shirt and flask, which you can,
Just what you didn't want.
yeah, for Liquid Friday, for example.
Better than what the FedEx guy has.
T-shirt, it's free.
Right.
For your delay. Yeah, okay. Xerox PARC founder Jacob E. Goldman died on Tuesday at the age of 90. Goldman was recruited from Ford to Xerox way back in 1968 as Senior Vice President of Research and Development. He did a lot. In 5 years, the company's R&D budget, for example, grew from $60 million to $165 million. The Queen's annual Christmas speech is to be released as a free download for Amazon's Kindle ebook reader following its broadcast.
I don't. You I don't know if you guys are all that. What? What's the matter?
Were you about to say, are we not all that interested in the Queen's annual Christmas speech?
No.
Because the answer is no. No, I'm not.
I was going to say, I'm assuming you're not all that interested in
That's
the
right.
Queen's annual Christmas speech here.
No.
But I think it's pretty impressive that the Queen keeps up on this stuff. She went to YouTube several years
Did she
ago.
actually type the words and
Oh
she's gonna
no!
send it to?
Are you? She's royalty.
Right.
Is it really only the words? It's not like an audio version. It's just the ebook version.
No, they put it out as an MP3. They put it out as a YouTube video. It's out in multiple formats,
Yeah.
and they're just adding the ebook as
Who would
another.
Who would want to read it?
I don't know.
If you want to relive it,
Really
and
old
try
British
it yourself.
people.
Like, Does she spell everything with a U? It sounds like she's.
I guess
using
the
a
King's speech has left a new longing for something like this, where you can learn to read an actual speech by a
I subscribe
monarch.
to her YouTube channel.
I'd love an audible file of this read by someone else.
You can actually just get it as a MP3.
No, but I mean like a
Oh, read by someone else.
an audio book.
Who's the guy who played in the King's speech? Who played the King?
Colin
I can't-
Firth.
Yeah,
Colin Firth,
read by Colin Firth.
I would love that. That would be a Christmas speech to remember.
Let's check what's incoming.
Incoming message.
You can email us, TNT@twit.tv, like Bill from Jacobstown, New Jersey did. He says, just to amplify the comment you read on Wednesday, I've been doing enterprise SA for many years, and on all of the properties I've worked on, we go to great lengths to make sure there are never alternate paths to content. The primary reasons for this are security. You don't want people accessing content outside of a vhost branch, as that alternate path might expose information the vhost would not expose. And number two, SEO. Google's PageRank algorithm frowns on alternate paths to content, so every property I work on is very diligent to ensure this never happens. So thanks, Bill. Appreciate the update and the correction.
Next email from Derek Chen. Hey, TT crew, wanted to give you a couple thoughts on yesterday's continued discussion on the Super Bowl. NCAA March Madness has already moved to free online streaming with ads sold in large bundle sponsorship packages by Turner and CBS Sports. World Cup, also free online. We're definitely seeing big games more now. The bigger question is when regular season sports will be online. What scares me more is stuff Verizon is pulling, where sports access may become exclusive to one carrier, especially for mobile. And yes, the online ad sponsorships, while extremely pricey for online budgets, pale in comparison to the dollars still made on TV. For the Super Bowl, it tends to be such a communal event. I would imagine more people would prefer watching it with friends alongside a large screen TV at times to watch not the game, but even more the popular ads. Happy holidays. I agree that in general, the Super Bowl is more of that communal event, but
No, I think his point about CBS doing the NCAA, I'd forgotten about that when we talked about this the other day. World Cup was free online. More and more of the Olympics was made available online every time it happens. It's interesting to me that these big events, you'd think it would be the opposite. The big events would be the ones most protected, but they're the ones put forward most. I don't know why that is.
YouTube's gotten those little events. YouTube Live, when they try it out, I think they had like cricket. It's like, yay, cricket.
Well, out of market. And that makes sense because you go with stuff that's like, well, it's a specialty niche. It's not going to really undermine much of a
Well, you figure if they're trying to figure out their online ad strategy, you want something where an advertiser is going to be like, wow, these numbers are awesome. Okay, obviously the Super Bowl is going to be way more watched than anything else, but you don't want some sort of random, I don't know, NFL game, in the middle of the season with two teams aren't doing that well, where the ad impressions aren't going to be the same, where people might go, yeah, I don't know, we're not ready for this yet.
Although apparently Sunday Night Football, as we mentioned the other day, is streamed. Not that those are totally random. They do schedule those specifically to try to make it interesting. But yeah, I see I wonder if I should see a crack of hope here.
It's going to be a great new platform for GoDaddy to run a SOPA ad during the Super Bowl.
I imagine somebody lathered up.
Don't they make those jokes that their ads are censored by TV anyway? Isn't that kind of ironic?
That's right.
It's like, come to the web where you can see it unfiltered.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice one, GoDaddy. Last email from Dustin Solis. I was pulling up yesterday's TNT on YouTube, and when I noticed there was this snowflake button on the YouTube control bar, I clicked it, and I'm guessing through the magic of HTML5, it started to snow on top of the video. Look what happened while I let it continue to snow while I watched yesterday's TNT.
That is amazing.
It's going to collect slowly. Look at that.
Tim, you might want to look at that dandruff problem. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, if you're on the audio, we're showing Tim Stevens.
I mean,
from
bah
yesterday's show.
humbug, I know, but
It's even
okay.
affecting the lower
What
third
about
somehow.
on Google Plus they put you know how the mustache they had the mustache for November. They've got antlers and a red nose that you can put on in your video.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No,
No.
screwed.
But I hate fun, so
I thought that was Iyaz. It's catching.
yeah.
Didn't you used to do a show about fun, Sarah?
That's why This Week in Fun is no longer with
When
us.
it got canceled, so did my
So
fun.
did your love of fun.
Just the show that got canceled.
I see.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for submitting stories, by the way, at our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. Great place to go to see what other people are interested in. We use it in making our lineup. We kind of triangulate off lots of different sources, and this is one of the most important, if not the most important. We want to see what you want to hear about. So go there, sign up, submit stories, vote them up or down. Even more important, let us know which ones you're interested in. MG Siegler, thank you so much for joining us. Let folks know, again, all the different places they can find what you're doing online.
Well, yeah, you can go to, I guess, my personal website, paraslemon.com. I'm still a columnist at TechCrunch. And one of these days, we're going to get a site up for a Crunch Fund, which is my main job now.
All right, we're looking forward to that. Yeah. That's it for this edition of Tech News Today. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Our email address is tnt@twit.tv. And give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, although we are headed into special episodes that we've pre-recorded starting Monday. So we won't be playing voicemails until January 2nd. But the number's 260-TNT show. Nate Langston joins us for our last new episode of 2011, our last regular episode anyway. We'll see you then.
Cheerio.
God save the Queen.